Hello to whoever finds this journal. My days in Maryland have been rewarding as they are troublesome, and as often dangerous. I have spent the last 6 years assembling my notes in hopes the knowledge I have gained over the time spent in this world to bring good fortune to whoever finds this, and to help them get a better understanding of the world they are about to enter. My intent is to create a compendium of how the world works, what it has to offer, and how you can survive and prosper. There are times I feel my work will only serve more confusion about what I found, but I also felt it necessary to compose my ideas and experience to illuminate a path to those who wish to explore. Contained within are recipes, survival tips, warnings, and more, all in an effort to promote safe travels and an overall awareness of the world you are entering. There will be times when you will be tested in ways this compendium can neither prepare you for or help you from. Your choices as a player and a guild may lead to swift and unprecedented consequences. I believe this to be the ultimate guide for survival and success. Welcome to Mortal Online 2. Before we talk about the culinary arts of Mortal Online, let's first do a quick review on nourishment reserves. Your character has stamina, health, and mana reserves. You also have a hunger stat and a thirst stat, but don't worry about the thirst stat, that's for another video and has nothing to do with the topic of today. These nourishment reserves are very important to any character. If the reserves get too low, then you will take penalties ranging from regeneration, total number inside your stat pool, and even gray bar. Gray bar is a less than total of your total stat pool. So if you have 10 stamina, using small numbers for simplicity, and you do a bunch of running and now you're at 5 out of 10 stam and are low on reserves, you are, quote, tired. You will have a 2-point penalty to what your character can gain back by resting, giving you an 8 out of 10 max stamina cap. The gray bar. This is where food comes into play. With the correct food made by the top chefs of Maryland, the food you eat will greatly and sufficiently give you back your total and more, hence reserves, giving you an even higher cap, say 15 out of 15, until you get tired or hungry again. The reserves are exactly what they sound like, a reserve for extra points. Your reserves will go down the more you exercise your character, get hit, or cast magic. After the reserves run low, the total point pool lessens and lessens until you rest away your gray bar and eventually sit and eat. Health reserves will go down the more you take damage, and when you rest away your gray bar, it pulls points out of the reserves, and the same goes for stamina and mana. Managing your reserves and hunger can be tricky. For better quality food that you eat, the more hunger it replenishes. But if reserves are too low, or if you have multiple gray bars in different areas, you may have to eat more than one food item, and you may not be hungry enough to do so. Also, keep in mind, any health reserves you attempt to gain over your max reserve limit result into weight gain. And keeping low health reserves, or taking damage, or using a lot of stamina reserves leads to weight loss. You can make dishes that are strictly for weight gaining, weight loss, size modifiers, like growing or shrinking. Cooking is another form of alchemy, more or less, but is also on a separate system with its own unique uses. There are similar, but not the same. Moving on to the cooking skill, it only takes around 900 skill points to be a full cook. You can be a simple cook or the most advanced chef and really get into the system. The skills you will need are as follows. Also, the vast majority of these skills are secondary, so if there is a plus sign next to the skill, it's a parent skill plus the secondary skills underneath it. That way I keep the list short and don't totally info dump on you. Also, make sure that you have the lures that you want to work with, whether that be meat, fish, flesh, vegetables, and we'll get into it. Alchemy and alchemy contraptions are both a primary. These skills allow you to use the different alchemy tables that you will need to extract oil, leaves, seeds, and juices from different plants and fruits you will need to cook with. It also reduces yield waste when extracting, and you can unlock taste identification. Next, you will need animal materials and botany. Both of these can be found under the material lore. These skills are the skills that will allow you to learn how to use meat, veggies, plants, wood, and other materials you will cook with. Lores are everything in this game, and cooking is no different. It is important that you know what you are using as well as how to use it, and if your character doesn't know what a carrot is, how will he know where it belongs? That would be in a nice stew. Get your mind out of the gutter. Obviously, you will need the cooking skill and advanced cooking skill. These are self-explanatory. Advanced cooking is a primary, but cooking is a secondary. Under the crafting appliances, you will need botany appliances and both skills underneath this. I also heard that you need the metallurgy skill, but I'll be honest, I don't know what that could be used for, but I also can't give you all the secrets to the game. The press will allow you to press oils and juices out of fruits and plants. The herb station will allow you to extract leaves and seeds from different plants. Next, you will need cooking tools and advanced cooking tools. Cooking tools are the baking stone, cooking pot, and spit. Advanced cooking tools are fermentation jar, baking pot, smoke box, and steam pot. Each tool is used to make specific types of food, such as dumplings, nuggets, barbecued, roasted, stews, soups, breads, pies, you get the idea. We will be talking about this more later on in the guide. Each tool is also best at different nourishments, such as mana, health, and stamina. Herbalism and milling is under extraction. These skills allow you to process grains to turn into flour, and herbalism, as mentioned earlier, are herbs and spices to extract the seeds and leaves. Now, by this time, you should have 200 skill points left over. If you're going to be a full chef, you can spend these points as you wish, like into advanced enderology or other skills. But what I would do personally is go into fishing and butchery. Fishing is an excellent source of income and rare meats and materials that make some of the best food in the game, some of which doesn't even need cooked or butchered and can be eaten whole and raw. Butchery is self-explanatory. This will get you your meats, your skins, your teeth, and other ingredients that you would need and help raise the lures of the food you cook with. So let's move on to talking about food, what you all probably came here for. This is a starter guide, so don't expect any endgame recipes or deep dark secrets. The cooking system is still being discovered and learned, and everyone getting into the skill is still learning the skill. Some say it's broken, some say it's still being learned. What is for certain is some foods do not need cooked, some foods only need 1 or 2 ingredients, and anything more people say is just for role-playing purposes. But to build on the thought of what is certain, when you trade a player a nice looking piece of food, say like nuggets, they will be happy and value the food a bit more than a normal everyday dish. Remember, chef, people eat with their eyes before their mouths. Also, to go a little further into the cooking, cooking is based off of percentages and ratios, so for those that like math, alchemy and cooking might be for you. I, however, am terrible at math. So to touch on it, say a recipe calls for 9 flour to 1 meat to 1 filler. That is a 9 to 1 to 1 ratio, or 80% flour, 10% meat, 10% filler, giving you 100% product. Let's start cooking to better explain. Cooking with a baking stone will bake you breads and other baked goods. To achieve this, you need 40% flour base, 20% liquid or oil base, and 40% less than 40% or equal to 40% fillers. Based on the fillers used, you can produce different quality breads. So let's try to make a banana bread. Now, in order to make the flour that we need for the bread, we must go over and use what I think is called the grinder. Yeah, we need to grind the rye or the flour or spelt, whatever type of wheat or grain that you have harvested. So to do this, we'll go over to the extractor. We have 4,000 rye on us, and we'll do about 1,000 of that to turn to flour. Now, I don't obviously I don't have the lures on my characters, so this isn't going to be max yield or anything. You need the milling skill in order to achieve the better yields out of the rye. So 1,000 with no lure gives us 135. Ugh, that's a little low, but that's okay. We can still work with that. We can still bake a bread. So let's cut over to cooking with the baking stone. Alright, so let's go over to this campfire and see if we can't make some banana bread. So once again, we're looking for 100% ratios, whether that be a 4 to 1 to 1 or a 4 to 2 to 2. types of ratios. What we're looking for is a complete percentage of 100%. So to get started, we drag our baking stone into the cooking window and then add our ingredients. Remember, we're looking for 100% of the product, so 60-20-20 or a 6-to-2 ratio. So breads can make one of the best stamina foods in the game. For the banana bread recipe, we're adding 20 milk, 60 rye, and 20 bananas, a 6-to-2 ratio. Now, this recipe had a little bit of food poisoning in it. Not enough to really make you worry, but I added bore into the recipe, and that took away the poison properties. This is why I think you need the metallurgy skill into cooking, because some minerals in the game will negate or take out impurities of the food. Okay, moving on to the turn spit. This is probably the first thing you're going to use, and it's pretty decent for health food, but we're going to use the springbok meat to show off a couple of recipes, and this is a good example to how simply using one ingredient over many ingredients will get you different results and sometimes even better results. So if we put 100 springbok onto the spit and hold down cook, we're going to make roasted springbok. Sapid is the quality of your dish. Roasted is just the type of type of process it went to making the dish. And then if you look down, our health nourishment is at 20, our stam is at 19. That's just cooking the meat alone. If we wanted to go a little deeper into the system, the cooking spit is the only barbecue utensil in the game. You can have up to a 5% water base, and you can have up to a 11% of fuel source, meaning wood. So 11%, but for like simple math, we're going to call it 15%. You can have 11% minimum. Let's use 60 springbok meat, and we'll drag that here. Now for a fuel source, we're going to just take we'll take 15 of that. Remember, we're trying to hit 100%. So let's add some pepper into there. We'll add like, I don't know, 10 pepper. And we can add a water source or a liquid source. For some reason, you can't use cream. You might be able to use milk. Let's try milk. Okay, so if we look at our numbers, here's 20, 30, and 90. So we can probably add a bit more pepper into that, or if we have anything else in here. We have some rye flour, we have some rye. So where are we at? 70, 85, 90. Let's add 10 rye into this. And then we're going to compare the differences. So we have eccentric white wood roasted springbok with milk, pepper, and whole rye. See, the health nourishment is at an 8. The stam's at 12, but the mana nourishment's pretty high. There's also some food poisoning in there because I didn't put bore in, but hey, that is what it is. But you see how just adding, like, just sometimes leaving things alone give you better health nourishment. We can't add cream using this utensil, so I know from MO1 that sorry, I'm trying to think and do math. I know from MO1, pepper used to be a health health resource. So we're going to add 20 pepper, and we're going to add some milk to give it some more fattening properties. So if we just cook this together, oh, nothing happens. Oh, that's because we used too much milk. We gotta use up to 5% liquid base. And then we can probably add the white wood, but let's just try this recipe real quick. Okay, that makes experimental roasted springbok milk and pepper. It gives it a bit more health nourishment than adding the rye and adding the wood. It seems all pretty even, actually, and there's still some food poisoning in there. That's probably, well, no, we added milk. Not sure what's given it the poison length. Maybe the rye? No, we didn't use rye. But Either way, it just goes to show, like, sometimes it's better just to cook things the way they are than to add a bunch of complicated recipes. Anything more than just a few ingredients into a dish is more or less served for like role-playing purposes, but it's always fun to experiment and to come up with your own recipes. There's foods out there that can make you shrink, that can make you grow, that can make you gain weight, lose weight, age, de-age, or maybe the aging's alchemy. There's a lot of different things that food can do, and there's thousands of different combinations and recipes. This is a really deep system, but sometimes sometimes less is more. So let's move on to our next tool. Okay, moving on to our last basic tool item, it's going to be the cooking pot. Upon adding a liquid, it is very important that you ratio your liquids correctly. If you have less than 25% liquid, you are going to make a stew. If you have 26 to 50%, you're going to make a boiled dish. And 51 to 90%, you're going to make a soup. Anything higher than a 90% liquid, you have a chance to make a decoction. A concoction. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but each one of these different types of dish that you can make with this pot is going to have a different outcome on the stats of the item, the nourishment of the items. So we're going to try to make we're going to try to cook each of these dishes, and if it takes too long or whatever, then I'll probably cut it down. I want to talk about fish meat. We're going to try to work with fish meat a little bit. Fish meat is super tricky in the game. I know like fishing and cooking go hand in hand, as you want all natural ingredients, and fishing and alchemy also go hand in hand. Some fish you can eat without cooking and it gives you benefits right away. Some you don't even have to butcher, you can just eat the fish whole. It's really weird. Much like how the turnspit, we just put springbok meat on the turnspit and it gave us 20 health nourishment. Then we tried to add a bunch of things together. It's not necessarily like you're adding things to the nourishment. It's not an additive or a multiplier. It's really weird on how this system works, and people are still very much trying to figure it out. I just wanted to touch up on fish meat. Sometimes you want to butcher fish, sometimes you just want to eat it all, sometimes you want to butcher it and just eat the meat raw. But we're going to do a bit of we're going to do a bit of experimenting, because this is what this skill is all about. So I'll probably cut some things down until I find something that works. Let's begin with a stew. So we're going to add a less than 20 we're going to add 20 since that's less than 25, and then let's add some hot peppers into there. This is going to be mostly a filler, so we'll add 50, and then let's try to add some basil leaf. So we have 70 right now, we can just add 30 into there. Oh, but we need a meat, so let's add 20 more rather. And then we'll add 10 boarfish meat and see what this comes out as. So let's go ahead. This should make a stew. So we got strange capsium stew with bayless and boarfish. The health nourishment is very low, but the stam nourishment's pretty okay. And it does have some food poisoning and poison length. Again, add boar and it will get rid of all the impurities in it, but it did end up making a stew. Now we're going to try for a boiled dish. For a boiled dish, we need 26 to 50% liquid. So let's just go ahead and add 50 more peppers into that. Let's go ahead and see what happens. This should make boiled. Yep. Now, what else is interesting is if we would add flour into that, we could make a fried or a deep fried item. You can add around 44% fat like cream, butter, tallow, to make a deep fried item. And with that and flour, I wonder if we can make like springbok nuggets. I know like people are constantly trying to figure out how to make nuggets, so I don't know. Let's have some fun and try to make like some meat nuggets. All right, so we got some tallow. I really want to try to make these nuggets, man. Okay, so we got some tallow. We'll add 75 to this. And then we will add, that might be too high actually, because you know we just don't want bread nuggets. So let's add 60 tallow. It's animal fat. And then we will add 25 flour. So this gives us 85. And then we will add 15 springbok meat. I don't think that we need anything else, so let's see. We shouldn't add any pepper or anything. I really don't want to add anything else to this. So let's just see what happens. Oh, we got a succulent battered rye with springbok deep fried in tallow. Nice. The health nourishment's really insane. It's up to a 10. I mean, insane for the amount of like ingredients and ratios we did, and then 29% stamina or 29 stam. I'm really excited about that. All right, so let's just make a soup real quick. We got 90. So up to 90%, it should make a soup. And we'll just throw in some, we'll throw in like 5 fish and 5 Bayless. Oh, we made a decoction. Okay, inviting Bayless decoction with boarfish. The health nourishment's non-existent, but that mana nourishment's up. That's really interesting. Wow. Okay, so let's try with just 60. I kind of, wow. Okay. So 60, this is 80. Let's put in like 20 leaves and see what happens again. Can't believe we made a decoction. Okay, this should be a soup. Yep, tempting Bayless soup with springbok. Hopefully that explained the different uses of the cooking pot. Sorry to go into so much detail or to make this section drag on. The cooking pot is really good for different types of health food if you have the correct ingredients. Let's move on to our advanced cooking tools. Okay, moving on to our first advanced cooking tool, we are going to look at the steam pot. Now for this, by now you should understand how liquid ratios work and how ingredients ratios work. And if you understand how the multipliers or additives or anything on how to get the desired nourishment you want, please let me know in the comments. So to make this tool work, you really only need a 31% minimum of liquid base to make it steam. So we're just going to add 35 water and 65 peppers. That should be about 100. I don't know math. And we should get steamed. Yep, repugnant steamed calcium. Now the reason it's repugnant and all that is just because I don't have the lures for advanced cooking. I don't have the skill unlocked, so I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. Next is going to be the smoke box, and what I'm really interested in about this tool is if we can make smoked fish. In order to get our desired product of smoking, we need a fuel source of 11% minimum and a liquid base of 5%. So much like the spit roast, this is the advanced tool for that. So we need an 11 or at least an 11% fuel source. So we're going to add 15 whitewood into this, and then we're going to add 5 water to make the steam and smoke and, you know, all that good stuff. Whitewood is known to have healing properties, so food smoked with it is going to restore HP. However, I haven't tried any other wood, and that's just what I found researching online. Experiment with different food items to discover. That's what this skill is primarily all about. So we have 20 into here. Let's just add 80 springbok into it. and we should get smoke. Actually, I said I wanted to do fish. So let's try it again. Okay, we got our desired product, but let's try fish. So we got 15 wood, 5 water, and well, we need 80 fish, but we only have 50, so let's just see what happens. Oh, nothing, because we didn't complete the ratio, so that's really good to know. So let's just put some chunks of Bayless in there, I suppose. So what, that's 20, 70. Yeah, we need 30 Bayless. Now it should come out, and it does. Abhorrent whitewood smoked boarfish with Bayless. It just gives some mana nourishment. This one, it also gives mana nourishment, stam, and a little bit of health. So we use springbok with this, whitewood smoked springbok, and whitewood smoked boarfish with Bayless. So you definitely see how like adding things doesn't really make sense to me, but hey, we got something with health nourishment out of it, and that's kind of like what I aim for when I'm cooking food, is health. Okay, and moving on to our last advanced tool, we're going to be using the fermentation jar. I'm actually really excited about this because I know a little bit about making alcohol in real life, and I kind of want to see if it works the same. So I don't have anything sweet, so I crushed red jam burros using a press into the juice, and I'm hoping, like, in IRL terms, the natural sugar of that combined with flour would activate the yeast and give us alcohol, right? So in order to make liquor or beer in this game, you need a 60 to 80% liquid base, a 20 to 40% flour base, the rest is filler. Okay, so I want to say the fermentation jar is the advanced tool for the baking stone. Beers make one of the best stam food in the game. So let's try with a higher liquid base. Let's do 60% juice. And looking at the stats, it has really good mana, but it has the high alcohol that we want, right? And then let's try the 20% rye. And remember, sometimes, or like I said, sometimes less is actually more. So let's do another 20 bananas, and that will give us 100. And see how this turns out. Okay, this one's yellow. Ghastly Wild Rye Beer. Okay, so we made a beer. We didn't just make something fermented. We actually made a beer this time with muse fruit and red jam burro juice. So it's definitely a fruity beer. The alcohol is, once again, 0.19. The healing length is 1.5 compared to our other one, so it's 0.5 higher. And the stam nourishment's not as great. It's not as great. That's really interesting. I think it's because we didn't add flour into it. So that's really interesting. Okay, so what would happen if we did add flour into it? I don't think we have enough red jam burro juice to find out. So yeah, and I don't want to go searching for any more. So let's end on some closing thoughts. So if you guys made it this far in the video, I think it's only fair that I give you some examples of food. Some of the best in-game foods include like roasted spelt that can be cooked on the spit, or roasted ambrosial springbok and pig that is also on the spit, or fermented cream and ichor, which is a magic reagent and probably a rock mineral. Some of the favorite foods for foot fighters would be like spelt pie with brown shorecap oil, or if you're a mage hybrid or a tamer, you would want to like look for dapplewood smoked white cavalo with boar salt and pig, or if you're a fat mage, dapplewood smoked pig with boar salt and malarium, which is a animal material under teeth or dental lore. So it just really goes to show like the vast range that cooking can stretch through. It's very similar to alchemy, and it's extremely complicated. So if you couldn't quite tell, I was kind of struggling in this video, but hopefully you've learned something. Hopefully you have something to take away from this and understand how the tools work. If you have anything to add, or if you want to share some recipes of your own, or just Want to learn more? Look down in the link in the description. There's a dedicated Discord to cooking and alchemy that everyone is trying to figure out and come together in. I'll leave that down in the description. Or leave a comment, ask some questions. I'm sure somebody from the community might be able to help. Or if you want to leave your own recipes, I'm sure I've already said that. But without holding you here any longer, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think. And yeah, I'm streaming here, so I'll see you on the live stream. Thanks for watching.